Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game. A game about cowboys, stealing money, and plans that don't exist. But in time, we will come to know that, because right now, we're up in the mountains, fighting the weather, and escaping the law. One of our most dearest baby boys, Davy, had been shot, and we had to find somewhere to rest up so he could heal. The main character of our story, Arthur Morgan, had been sent out to find some shelter, and find some shelter he most certainly did. We arrived at the shed that Arthur said we was going to be living in for the next few days. But it appears that we were too late. Poor little Davy didn't make it. But Dutch couldn't allow morale to get low, so he gave everybody a riveting speech. And that had everybody feeling better, but Arthur had to ask what really happened on that boat, but Dutch just avoided the question. So we headed out to try and find some of our lost boys, and instead we ran into the most rat-faced bastard you have ever seen. And Arthur, loving himself a bit of rat tail soup, decided to follow the rat-faced bastard, because he said that he'd found somewhere where the boys may be held up. And upon arriving at the place the rat-faced bastard found, we decided it would only be wise to take cover, because who knows what could be in there. It could be me, and I tell you what, one good look at me would make any grown man vomit his ass out. But it was fine, it was just some Irish people, so I didn't see any problem in shooting them in the head. After gunning down the final Irishman with what can only be described as the best anticipation shot you have ever seen, we decided it'd be only right to steal all of their belongings. For ourselves, just so we can survive, because they're not around to survive anymore. And Arthur thought, maybe they'll have some stuff in the barn. But upon inspection, he got jumped by an Irishman who had the most vulgar things to say about Arthur's poor mother. And Arthur, being the mummy's boy he is, just simply was not gonna stand for such bullshittery as that. But deep down in his mind, Arthur knew Mama didn't raise no killer. So, he let him go. But shortly after that, we heard some screaming coming from the house, and upon inspection, the rat-faced bastard was harassing some poor lady in a nightgown, who, to be fair, was kinda just chucking shit at him. And we hate the rat-faced bastard, so she gained our respect that day. So we decided we'll take her home, and set fire to her other home, so she wouldn't have a choice. Morning finally came, and already somebody was asking Arthur to do a job for him. So up into the mountains, Arthur and Javier went and found a poor, little battered John Marston, almost freezing to death with one hell of a scratch on his precious baby little face. And then before we could get John back to the horse, the wolves that tried to eat him earlier came back to finish the dinner, only to realise we were trying to take it away from them. But Arthur wanted to keep that Marston brisket all to himself, so he effortlessly, with no problems at all, dealt with those wolves, suffering no injuries whatsoever, and dealing with them one after the other without a single problem in the whole wide world. And then after disposing of the wolves, we got John home, safe and sound, back with the boys. Upon the sun rising the next day, there was a horrific scent of potatoes and Guinness in the air, so we could tell that the Irish people were trying to sneak up on us once again. And Dutch and his boys were not going to stand for that, so out we rode to go and deal with those potato-eating, Guinness-drinking Irish people. Once we arrived at their camp, we had a little spy around just to see what exactly it was we was looking at. And we could see there were many, many more Irish people than there were of us. And we just couldn't stand for that. We even saw their leader, Combe Irish Driscoll. Now, despite it being multiple days since the Irish person said all those vile things about Arthur's mother, he was still seething with rage and decided to massacre all of the Irish people. After all of the Irish people had either been shot and killed or run away, Arthur decided, I'm going to take all of their stuff. So he decided to loot all of the bodies just before they moved on. While desecrating the bodies, Arthur found some very explosive little sticks of dynamite. And they thought, why don't we use these to blow up a train? And what an absolutely fantabulous idea that was, because it just so happened that Dutch found a map with plans to blow up that very train. And off we rode to go and blow up that very same train that the Irish people were going to.